Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, what do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, I will let you in on a secret, and not so much a secret if I'm telling you, that we do have it open. We do have a lot to play because there is a lot of dialogue, a lot of content to get to, but Whopper is frozen right now in War Games. So Joshua will reboot, and we'll let you hear what James had crafted prior to the show regarding today. But really, the nuts and the bolts of it, I can handle, because this is not new ground. This is far from new territory. There is a new quarterback, however. It is the same situation, just a different decision. And Shane Steichen ultimately has chosen Daniel Jones. As we've talked about before, I come from the angle of I was over it all a year ago, and I was ready to reboot the entire thing last year. And everybody is going to say, well, you didn't have quarterback this and quarterback that. Well, I got news for you. You don't have quarterback this and quarterback that right now. Some people had mentioned, if you're going to do this, why not Sam Darnold, for example, coming off the season that he had? The lasting impression, I think, of Sam Darnold in the postseason, I don't know if that scared anybody off. I don't know if the Colts actually thought that Daniel Jones was going to beat out Anthony Richardson, because remember, we heard all this, Anthony Richardson's doing this and he's doing that. And everything was made as he was doing and performing his duties in the fashion in which he should have years ago, and working his way up to, I guess, a third year of understanding how to play the position, how to work the position, how to prepare his teammates. All this stuff that we heard earlier today from Shane Steichen. The problem that you ultimately have is, and you're going to have this had it been Anthony Richardson, just like you have it right now, as is Daniel Jones, this is no hope city at quarterback. Nothing against Daniel Jones. I don't know him. All I know is what he has provided in the past. Well, it could be different here. Different personnel. Things are going to be different. He has been awful so far in his career. And as I've mentioned before, until I see otherwise, that's what you would expect. 6 seasons in New York, 24, 44, and 41. So you go top 5 with a draft pick at quarterback 3 years ago. And he can't beat out a 24 and 44 and 1 starter for week 1. In the mind of the head coach, this is what I want to know, and we're not likely to ever know. But I want to know, and people are going to say, well, it's none of your business. Yeah, my ass, it is our business. I think it is our business. I think most of you, especially, maybe not so much me, I'm going to give it up to you. I'll tip my cap to you. For those that you to spend cash, you pay for tickets, you're already into season tickets. For those that don't believe, but you're still a part of it, that's disposable income. You could be putting forth that effort anywhere else in the world, and cash is hard to come by. You're not growing cash in the garden, but you continue to spend it. I know a lot of advertisers that continue to spend money, and the return on investment, simply put, is not there. So, yeah, I think you do kind of deserve. I want to go around the room and find out exactly. And I would have said the same thing had this been Anthony Richardson. I want to go around the room and find out exactly the thought, not just of the head coach, but as the general manager and of Carly Ursay-Gordon. I want to know, was it, 2v1? Was it ultimately just kind of like the dictatorship there? And Shane Steichen said, well, I'm the coach and this is who I'm going with. Was everybody in agreement? Because I know we hear all the time from them, especially Chris talks about, well, pushback is always good. You can't always be agreeing with one another. I got news for you. What you all have been doing for the past 9 years hasn't worked an ounce, okay? So maybe do the opposite of it. Maybe do anything else of it. This is why at the end of last year, I said, we've seen enough. We've seen enough of everybody. And at the time, I was a little bit more skeptical about Shane because he'd been here after 2 years. But certainly with Chris, we'd seen that. And I think we'd all drawn a significant conclusion with Anthony Richardson at that point in time. And for those of you out there that think this is unfair, maybe it is, but you don't live in that world where you tap on the helmet and that still means something. There's still an impact of that within his team. I don't know if that's the case, but you talk about leadership, you talk about guidance, you talk about preparation, being skilled at the line of scrimmage. I mean, we're talking about all these operational things that, hell, you should be doing in high school. And Anthony Richardson can't win a job doing that? Over Daniel Jones, a guy that's 24-44? One playoff berth? I know, the completion percentage. Quarterback rating of 84.3. So the problem I have with all this, and this was going to, again, be a problem anyway, but it's even more magnified now, is because everybody gets swallowed up with this decision that it's not Richardson. I'm a non-believer, but I felt all along that he was going to end up giving it a try because it was a foregone conclusion at some point that he wasn't, that he was going to be subbed out. It was going to be somebody else. I will give credit where credit is due. I mean, they're looking for any ways they can to be different and win. The problem is you're not so much being different with Daniel Jones because we've seen other guys in the past that have come with a little bit of name recognition, and you wonder if a situation is going to be better than the situation in which they were in. And really, other than Phillip Rivers, does anybody stand out whatsoever? To me, Daniel Jones is like Gardner Flacco or Joe Minshew. That's what he represents to me. Maybe he can change my mind. Maybe he will change all of our minds. But again, I find myself in a very unique position. I don't believe in any of this right now, none of it. And it sucks. But the biggest problem I have, the biggest issue I have is, so you bring in Shane, who is this tremendous offensive mind. And clearly, when he was hired, they end up selecting Anthony Richardson, and Ballard was on board. I don't know who was all on board and who wasn't. I mean, you hear stories about some over there who were and others who were not. But you end up drafting Anthony Richardson, and I swear to you, I think this is fair as hell to say, that if you take your offensive guru and you give him into year number 3, and this is what you can do with this raw quarterback, incredibly athletic, projections off the chart, this is where we are? This is where we are. So there's something incredibly wrong. I mean, they talk about the process all the time, and there's something wrong with the process if this is where you end up. And that's, I think, what is so ultimately sad about this entire story. And again, this would have happened regardless of any decision made. But you can see the dynamic at work here. You can see those that believe in Richardson with really no reason to believe in Richardson. Why would you? Because he threw it 60, 70 yards? Because maybe once upon a time he ran over somebody and actually came off the field not injured? Because he looks like something you created in a video game? That's your reason, your rationale for belief. Now, I'm not just on you, but what about your belief in Daniel Jones? Why in the world would anybody in their right mind have any belief in Daniel Jones? What has he shown? Under normal circumstances, you would see these numbers. I'll give credit with Mike Chappell. He's the one that has the Daniel Jones numbers up there. But you look at these numbers, and everybody starts laughing. You go, what? $13+ million and a week one starter and beat out a top 5 selection? And all these excuses? 23 years of age and just doesn't know. And then all the excuses that come when people logically ask, well, what's this mean for Anthony Richardson? Well, he's not done yet. He still has a lot to learn. Well, if he hasn't learned basically sitting around in meetings and being injured and maybe being benched and not playing and sometimes playing, if he hasn't learned that enough so far to beat out Daniel Jones in year 3, he is never going to learn that. So why do we even have the discussion? Don't you close the book today other than injury? You have to close the book. How can you not beat out Daniel Jones in the eyes of your head coach? Unless there's something else at play. And again, therein lies the reason why I would love to hear exactly what everybody was thinking inside that room this morning or last night or whatever it was. Man, it's not supposed to feel this way at the start of the season. Just a little bit of hope. See, now we're at a point now where you can't even have hope. You can't have hope before Labor Day. And we're a week and a half prior to Labor Day, and we don't seem like you should have any hope at that position. It is a crazy treadmill in which this organization is on. And again, I think it goes to show you, and not to try to be mean and nasty and afternoon talk show yip-yap guy that just throws stuff and stirs the pot. You tell me if this thing has needed a complete reboot. You can't even make a simple decision in what is logical to half of your audience, compared to the other choice, and not be deemed or described as foobar. I got news for you. It's not my fault. And ultimately, who pays the price? I will give it up to you guys. You guys keep going back, and that's good, but by now you have to be just a bit worn out with it. I kind of look at this. It's almost like Shane Steichen in this decision is saying, yeah, you know what? I wasn't any good either. So, wait a minute. I wasn't any good. He's not any good. He's not good enough. He needs to learn. I need to learn. I know it probably goes much deeper than line of scrimmage checks and making sure guys are in the right spot and reads and putting the ball where it needs to be. But you had the better part of 2 years to install this fantastic offseason with Richardson and Josh Allen's quarterback coach, and I know that he had the shoulder issue. But how can this be? How can this be? This is almost like Shane Steichen said, yeah, you know what? I'm right. All this error in judgment, all this misfortune, miscalculation, yeah, it's on me too, because look, I can't even get this guy as a quarterback guru ready to start week number 1 against the Miami Dolphins. We got to get a guy that's 24-44 career-wise. And you got your fingers crossed, and you hope that it's a different situation with this team than it was in New York. When's the last time it was a different situation for the better for this group? Hey, believe me, I do. I trust Jonathan Taylor. I trust some guys on that defense. DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart. Listen, I know we got some guys, too. Jonathan Taylor with Denver, Grover Stewart in the past. I know we got some guys that have also created an issue or made a mistake. But I do believe in those guys. Kenny Moore, Ward, Bynum, free agent guys. I do believe in those guys. But it is kind of fleeting here. And what you end up doing, and we're going to find that out, unfortunately, at the end of the season, is you prolong the agony. And this has been an agonizing process for everybody, and especially for the fans. All right, so that's where I am with the choice. But again, I will readily admit that we were going to be talking negatively about this because there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Because you saw as much as I did. We all saw a lot of this together. And, we're not in meetings. We're not privy to all that information. And I'll be damned if I saw that there was a big difference in one or the other right here. You have a newfound trust in one that he is not going to blank it up, as you have seen over and over and over again the other to do. So much of this with Richardson, too, is internal reputation. And I will admit, he's been nothing but nice. I think he's a good conversation. He's a hell of a kid. But we're not talking about being a hell of a kid. We're talking about being a hell of a quarterback and a team leader. I mean, you kind of wonder if teammates, veteran teammates, if they believe that Daniel Jones gives them more of an opportunity to win than does Anthony Richardson, and how they feel about this. They've probably been down this path, the veteran guys, at least so many times that they're a little bit numb to it. But at some point, all this has to stop. And the only way you're going to get this all to stop is to be done with it. And that's the point I was trying to make at the end of last year. And unfortunately, I believe that's the point that we would be making for sure. And then, if you have a season as we have witnessed here in recent memory, it will be a foregone conclusion that everything is going to be over. The problem that you have, where's the line? Like, how well does this team play? And then whether or not you end up bringing people back and trusting what is happening here. Where's the line? Where's the bar set on this? Simply making the postseason, is it? I shouldn't say simply, because nothing's been simple about that around here in forever. How about if I say simply being competitive? Being competitive, is that it? I will take issue with this when you suggest that Daniel Jones is going to be more boring than Anthony Richardson. I think Anthony Richardson, I think we kind of get swallowed up by the occasional big play because it's been boring as hell. It has. For a superstar, incredibly athletic player, he and they have been boring as hell. There's been no fun to watch. None. I can't imagine that Daniel Jones will be any more boring than Anthony Richardson and that offense has been led. It's been boring. The turnovers, overthrows, 3-and-outs, those are boring. Not scoring. There's the occasional moment, oh, wow type of moment, but it's boring. So I can't imagine that is going to be less enthusiastic than what you have witnessed so far. But that's, once again, where we find this team and this organization. I don't think this is going to be the case. Somebody brought this up to me a little bit earlier today, and I can't imagine, because I would happen to think that the people on the stands, a lot of them are probably cool with the decision. I think it's those that probably don't go to a lot of games. Again, I could be wrong. This is just a judgment call right here sitting before you. But somebody had said, so what happens when he runs out onto the field for that first series and gets booed? I don't think that's going to happen. Now, it may happen after the first incompletion, but it's not going to happen, I don't think, when he's running onto the field for the first series. Now, on the other hand, we're just looking at the negative. On the other hand, if you come out, you have the opportunity, if you're Daniel Jones and this team right now, to do something, because you can get caught up in also performing in a fashion in which fans have not seen around here in ages, playing well in week number 1, getting a week number 1 win, and there is no more must win for everybody involved. Every single stinking decision maker in that organization. And the $13+ million quarterback. There is no greater must win in the world than week number 1, and I don't want to hear a damn thing. I don't want to hear any laughing, any scoffing. I don't want to hear you making fun of me. That is absolute. And you know what? If you do, then you have an opportunity early on to change the tune of everybody. Because that would be new ground. Again, where's the bar set is what I ask. And I think we all understand the bar's not set very high. Look at what we're talking about here. The quarterback that's 20 games under 500 comes in here and grabs a gig and wins in week number 1. Hallelujah. Seriously. That's a low damn bar right there. But it is a goal that's attainable, but it's also a must. Because you do have a splintering, I think, now more than ever. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, it's one or the other. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it does. You have a splintering. And in this case, you get a lot of people are going to be just done with it. So finally, organizationally speaking, they have to have pulled the right lever, hit the right button. This has to be a sound decision. Because if it isn't, the consequences aren't going to be, yeah, little 22-year-old Jimmy's pissed off because Anthony Richards is not playing, or 55-year-old Johnny, the curmudgeon, he's mad because Anthony Richardson's going in for his guy, Daniel Jones. What you're going to have is people saying, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and keep my ass home because this whole product sucks. And I don't care anymore. I don't think we have seen an early season as important and as magnified in importance as we're going to see to start this one. Right out of the gate, whether you're talking about Miami. And listen, I'm keeping this simple right here with Miami. Yeah, we'll get on to Denver when it calls to get on to Denver, but keeping it simple with Miami. The bar is set so low, you can go, whoa. You can give an oh, wow delivery if you're Daniel Jones right here, and really all you have to do is go out and beat a crapwater team at home. That's all you got to do. I know I make it sound simple, but damn, it is. This whole thing has been simple for a while. It's just the organization that you love, they constantly make the wrong decision. And hopefully this one's accurate. Now, we'll get into a little bit later on how many don't want to see that happen because you don't want the agony prolonged with this organization. I got news for you. For the moment or whatever, some winning would cure all. You need a little bit of winning. I need a little bit of winning. I'm so sick and tired of being negative about this subject. You know how great it was being positive about the Pacers? I still have a great feeling out of that. I could use some positivity from this football team, so I'll grasp it. I'll run with it and talk about it. But until I see it, I'm not going to create it on my own. I'm not going to fake it because you can't. 239-1070 is that number. The text line is 317-239-1070. You tell me whether or not you believe this decision to be sound. Yeah, Shane Steichen actually just said, all right, with this decision, I have really sucked so far. Seriously, that's what he said. It's like me right here. You know what? That first segment really sucked. How can I not get this? How can I have this? You know, normally they say, James, I'm going to take this piece of clay and mold it. Man, if you are worth your weight, how this is where you are in year 3 with your dude right here. This is where it is. You can't beat out a guy that is 20 games under 500 for his career to start in week number 1. You almost have to take away your quarterback guru status, I think. Don't you? You almost have to take that away until further notice. We may have to confiscate the quarterback guru status. I will say this. Hopefully it is the right decision, a sound decision, because there have been very few here in recent memory. It would be nice. Daniel Jones is your starter. Conversation on the inbound. Greg Rakestraw is going to join us. Joel A. Erickson of the Star is going to join us. You're going to join me. 317-239-1070. Get your text message on the text line. You can call. The stream, the app. It's HD Radio, the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. Yes, I've got the gold shirt on. Gold on John, not on the ceiling, Black Keys today. Got a lot to talk about. Short time to get it done, so do not go anywhere. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Diablo sandwich of Dr. Pepper. Make it fast. I'm in a damn hurry.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'll start off by letting everyone know that Daniel Jones will be our starting quarterback this season. I thought the competition in training camp was great by both of those guys. I thought they both competed really hard, and you guys heard me talk about the consistency, and that's really what I was looking for. And really the operation at the line of scrimmage, the checks, the protection, the ball placement, the completion percentage, I think all that played a factor in it. Daniel did a great job doing that, and I think AR has made strides in that area. But I do feel that, he still needs to continue to develop.
Hey, he's done. All right? You're not going to say that. I get it. But come on. Other than injury, it's over. Tolzien, Luck, Brissett, Rivers, Wentz, Ryan, Richardson, Daniel Jones. Thank you very much. That was BT with that nugget of information for us right here. I just don't get it, JMV. Why not play AR now and see what happens? Because they don't trust him. They don't think he is good. I mean, think about that. You're not good enough to get guys in the right spot and call the right plays and throw it to the right spot. Wait a minute. So who let this dude be a quarterback? What the hell? How are you a quarterback? Well, you know what? You really don't get guys in the right spot. You don't call the right plays. You don't work hard at it, and you can't throw it to the guys. Okay, well, how about quarterback? That's problematic. Aaron in Minnesota is listening. Hey, by the way, too, if you're on the text stream or the text line, tell me who you are and where you're from. I like to say that. If you're on hold, I'll get to you. I have plenty of time. It's really Joel A. Erickson and Greg Rakestraw and then all of us, and we shall opine over the decision of Daniel Jones being the starting quarterback in week number 1. As I mentioned, too, it's like Shane Steichen going, okay, I have failed. Now, Christian Webb says, what happens if they do play well enough to bring back everybody one more year? That is a dynamic that some are afraid of, but I would challenge this, Christian. I would challenge to wait on that, because when's the last time any good fortune like that has occurred around here with this football team? That's not at the top of my list, I guess, of things to be worried about. I'm just concerned about, 5, 6, 7 more years of waiting. Was it Tom Petty that told us the waiting is the hardest part? My goodness, you guys have waited forever. It's like our next guest on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He's got a busy week, stuff going on today, stuff going on Friday. Greg Rakestraw joins us. Daniel Jones, was that a bold decision by Shane Steichen in particular? I can never get this guy the way that he needed to be, so let's go get this guy that's 20 games under 500 on his career to start.
I would say it was not the decision I thought they would make. I'm not sure it's the wrong decision. It's just I thought they would, and you heard me say it. I didn't think there was much that separated the two from what I saw during training camp in terms of results of the game. Obviously, Shane Steichen saw things differently. He's going to go with Daniel Jones in week number 1.
It's Greg Rakestraw, yes. It's funny. What do you see? What did you see out there? You were out there all the time in Daniel Jones, because I'm right there with you. I didn't see much of a difference. I thought when one guy sucked, the other guy sucked. When one guy was good, the other guy was good. That's what I saw.
The thing that we have said throughout the course of this is that I think the floor is higher with Daniel Jones. The ceiling is higher with Anthony Richardson. I did think that we had seen some strides from Anthony. There were still, mistakes that were made in terms of accuracy. I thought Anthony looked a lot more like the quarterback that in a much smaller sample size his rookie year threw a 60% kind of completion rate compared to the one that was sub 50, which is a do not pass go scenario from last year. If there was an area in which Jones struggled, it was the deep ball. I guess in hearing kind of you talking the opening of this segment is just kind of putting thoughts together on this. There are times in camp the last few days when I saw what Daniel Jones was doing and thought, all right, this has got something to the Gardner Minshew effect.
Yeah.
And Minshew led you to 9 wins, and it could have been 10. And Jones brings something of the Anthony Richardson-like ability to run along with maybe more of the accuracy that Minshew brought. And again, I think it's just, confirmation from the perspective of Shane, perspective of Chris and and everybody involved that, you need to win now. And, again, winning for this group, I think, is 10 wins in a playoff spot. And maybe they feel that Daniel Jones is the guy that can best deliver that. Obviously, everybody has higher goals than that from a long-term perspective. But it is you need to win now, and that's why I think the Colts made this move that they announced today.
I think I know who the biggest loser is in all this right now. However, how far off the pace might a guy with the skill set like Alec Pierce be, considering what you just uttered with the lack of a deep ball from Daniel Jones, which clearly is that of a Pierce forte?
Right. It's one of the things, though, that you've heard people with the Colts talk about is they feel that Pierce is not just a one-trick pony. He is not just a deep ball threat. Obviously, we haven't seen much of him during training camp because he got hurt in the course of the last week and didn't play when he was healthy in terms of the first game. But let's see. It's one of the things with this group, I think there are some pretty easy to define skill sets. Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be your first down guy, your physical receiver that moves the chains. Josh Downs is your space guy as long as he's healthy with that hamstring, going into week number 1. If Pierce is the deep threat, okay, well, now what else does he do? Because obviously you've even got kind of that defined role in terms of the tight ends where, you've got Warren and Mallory that are the pass catchers and Ogletree and Mo Ali Cox that are kind of more of the blocking guys. So will Alec Pierce lead the league by 5 yards in terms of yards per catch the way he did last year? No, but you know what? He caught several passes like that from Joe Flacco too. So maybe we're underselling that element of the game in terms of the offense going forward.
Greg Rakestraw is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. This team, at least from what has been explained to me from those that spent every day at camp, saw too many pre-snap penalties. I think that's been brought up. Is that kind of what we see in the blame game here on that of Richardson? Is that what we see, making sure you stay away from those particular situations? Is that the dialogue that Steichen brought up regarding getting guys in the right spots and making sure they're in the right play? And is that because we did see, at least from what people had suggested out in Westfield, too many pre-snap penalties along that line during camp?
I'm not sure if I saw an overabundance of pre-snap penalties in terms of camp. Obviously, there is the obvious blitz pickup, from the first preseason game in Baltimore that stands out. And the one thing that I would say is this: the Colts are one of the least penalized teams in the National Football League last year. And again, that was done with primarily, not exclusively, but primarily Anthony Richardson at quarterback. So clearly there is the feeling that the offense, the operation runs smoother with Daniel Jones as the quarterback, and that, again, there are less mistakes with Daniel Jones as the quarterback. So whatever those mistakes might be, that's clearly what, in part, was brought up today.
Greg, we mentioned this being an indictment on Chris Ballard. There are many, but I'm curious on Shane Steichen for going into year 3 and not being able to even come close. Literally, you're getting a guy that's 20 games under 500 and choosing him as the starter over the guy. One of the reasons why you brought him in, one of the reasons why you drafted him as well, is you put the 2 and 2 together and you're going to make a little bit of magic. And now he's the backup quarterback in year number 3. How big of a failure is that for Steichen?
I think everybody's on the same timeline. And I think it goes back to everybody is in win now mode. And again, I don't think there are these massive expectations that is simply to win more than you have. And that has been 9 games and 8 games over the course of the last 2 years when you've had this entire group together. And so with the moves that were made in the offseason to add major defensive pieces in Bynum and Ward, to add a weapon that you needed at the tight end position in Tyler Warren, this is, again, to me, and I have said this all offseason long, it is playoffs or bust. Clearly the family is very is aware of the fact that there's not been a division championship here now in 11 years. And because of how good I think the Houston Texans might be, I'm not sure that is going to happen. But you can still be a playoff team and not win your division. And I think that everything in terms of judgment is going to be what the record is going to be at the end of this season.
All right, Greg, one final thing. And by the way, if you're on hold, 239-1070, I'll get to you coming up in a minute. But it is week 1 of the high school football schedule on Friday night. Give that bad boy some love on a day with a lot of news. Talk it up quickly before I let you go.
Lawrence Central and Lawrence North is the game that I will have. We at ISC will have Rebuff and North Central. We'll also have Center Grove and Warren Central. That is number 3 versus number 6. And again, those two have a very good chance of seeing each other again in the regional round of the tournament. So, yes, we are 3 days now removed from the start of the high school football season. And I will see you tomorrow afternoon at Carroll Stadium as
well. I'll be over there too, probably with more dialogue similar to this. How about it?
But we will put you in a suite where you're close to alcohol, so that'll make it a little bit better.
I like that, buddy. Thank you very much, Greg.
See you, pal.
So, Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I do want to try to work in as many of you as possible. And I will. We'll have plenty of time. I got Joel coming up at the top of the hour. Every time I say Joel, I think about risky business. I've got Joel at the top of the hour. He's going to go out there and buy a hooker. Risky business. Let me lead here at 239-1070 before the break. I know Kenny's been on hold for about 30 strong here. Hey, Kenny, give us some input before the break. What do you got, brother?
Well, I'm starting to learn that we need to get you a little hammered before any kind of Colts information comes on. Might change the outcome a little bit.
Get me hammered. What?
Well, yeah, you gotta be feeling good. That way, you're in a better mood when it comes.
I'm in a great mood. You think otherwise?
No, I take that back. I guess you are in a great mood.
Okay, well, I tell you what, Kenny, you have called. You tell me. Express to me your mood. I'll let you go here, and why that we all should be in a better mood here. Go ahead.
Well, I've been a Colts fan since '84, dude. I was 9 years old when they moved here, so yes. I've been a Colts fan my entire life, and you're not going to get roses and gold like every season. I mean, we were lucky enough to win a Super Bowl and play in another one. I mean, I feel blessed just to have had that happen. But it just is what it is. If you're a fan of the Colts and you love them, they're your city, your guys, you got to back them regardless. I mean, we can all throw a fit about the quarterback, but let's be honest, it's not going to make anything better. We just got to roll.
No doubt. Not with these people around, it won't. I can do that.
But yeah,
exactly.
It's part of the game, man, and we'll see what he can do. And if he can't do it, then they'll throw Richardson in. We'll complain about him a little bit more.
Well, yeah, I think you got that. Kenny, thank you very much. All right. From what Kenny had to say, and that was the brighter side of things, when we first went through the whole Colts era, they first got here, and it was just euphoric. You were thrilled. You didn't really care what happened. You had an NFL team, and that's all that mattered. And then when they came in here with Polian, Manning, Dungy, and that group, winning became a priority. And then it was expected. And being consistently near the top of the NFL is what you were told this group was going to be. So you're not just making this up out of thin air. This is how they told you it was going to go. So that's my problem. And they have backed up really nothing. But they told you this is how it's going to go. It's maybe not always going to win 13 games, but constantly one of the best organizations and competitive. And I think we can all understand here in the past, how many years now? 1, 2, 3. There's your 9-8. There's your 11-5. In the past 6 of 7, 7 of 8, it's been nothing but a mess. Gross. Tired. So that's where I kind of draw the line with trying to be excited about anything until they give you a reason to be excited about it. This is on them. This is not on you. It's not on me. It's on them. Thank you, Kenny, for the call. If you're on hold, I'll get back to you. More on Daniel Jones being the Week 1 starter. Some of you are on board with it. We'll get you on. Joel A. Erickson of the Star at the top of the hour. And we have a large chunk of this show dedicated to you. It is the text stream or the text line at 317-239-1070 as well. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You got a joint?
No, not on me, man.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Well, I think that he's proven that he's played good football in that 2022 season. He had a hell of a year that year. I think that was the highest completion rate in Giants franchise history that season. So he's proven to do it. I know he's had his ups and downs, but everyone's journey is different and feel confident in his abilities.
My goodness, that is like the lowest bar of all time for Anthony Richardson. Lord have mercy, 2022. Now he's really good in 22. That's why we're going to start him over Anthony Richardson. Again, I'm going to give Steichen credit because this is a complete indictment on what he has been unable to do. You can't even get Richardson ready to start in year 3 in week 1? What? But in 2022, Daniel Jones was good. Again, it wasn't really going to matter. It's not going to matter. And you look at Daniel Jones, and clearly you trust him with just being able to do, I hate to say it, it's like the walking, chewing gum stuff at once. It's just 2 things at once, multitasking. You're choosing that, the diligence, and over a wild card. And believe me, I have no confidence in Richardson. I have no confidence in until I see anything of consistency. I don't have confidence in anybody. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor's going to be good. You know what I mean about this team. Dave wants to know if I'm butthurt because I had it wrong. I'm not butthurt about anything. What the hell would I be butthurt about? See, herein lies the problem. I could give you a great example. Ches says, Kenny is what's wrong with the fan base in this town. Now, man, Dave Thomas is what's wrong with the fan base because you would rather see a talk show host wrong than win. You would rather be able to say, I told you so on social media because you're a big dumb jackass than win. That's what you would rather have. There's a problem. Like, I give Kenny credit because Kenny's just out there saying whatever. And I'm sitting here giving an opinion on things. I just can't believe in something that has given me no reason for belief. I don't even think that would be fair to you guys. And you know that it can be different because I gave you firm belief in the Pacers before anybody else had it. So it does exist, but you have to have a reason to do it. And they give you no reason. And that's what we wait on. Yeah. There's Dave Thomas's of the world. Those are the problems right there. I mean, Kenny's always going to go and always going to be enthusiastic. I mean, you've got to have those guys. Just like the hype man. It's like getting rid of Gorman, which was dumb as hell. Everybody needs a hype man. New Edition needed a hype man. I've said this before. Michael Bivens couldn't sing, couldn't dance, but he was the consummate hype man. You needed him. You just do stuff that is unnecessary and make a lot of the wrong decisions. This is where you kind of lead down the wrong path here. I did see Sophie Cunningham is done for the season. That is too bad for the Fever. I think everybody thought that was going to happen, and that absolutely did. It has been a very forgettable because of injury season this year, without question. And that's too bad. I will say this, there's still a couple of games over 500. JMV, Daniel Jones is night and day better. It's not even close. At this point, I would rather start Riley Leonard. Team isn't going anywhere anyway. Hey, I'm not suggesting that Anthony Richardson's any good. It's not. You guys are catching me wrong on this. How are you a quarterback guru and you can't have a guy with that much talent ready by year number 3 to start in week 1 and be beaten out by a guy that's 20 games under 500 like Daniel Jones? And that's the reason why I'm butthurt. Now, if I'm going to be butthurt, I should be butthurt because we're going through this same damn thing again. That's why we all should have a little rear end soreness because of that. You guys, Joel A. coming up at the top of the hour. And again, after Joel, it is basically an hour and 15 of us blabbering together. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
And the beat goes on, yeah. And the beat goes on.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, he handled it great. We sat down in my office this morning and talked, and I said, hey, here's the things that, you need to keep improving on. Things I hit earlier, about the consistency, and, he agreed. He's like, yeah, I got room for growth there. And I said, hey, you're one play away. And he told me the same thing. He's like, you're right, I am one play away. So I'm going to attack it the right way, knowing that if something happened to Daniel, he's got to be ready to go.
Shane Steichen from a little bit earlier. Daniel Jones is your starting quarterback in week number 1. And one final preseason game coming up on Saturday. Welcome back to Hour 2 inside the text line at 317-239-1070. I can read off, again, name and location because I love to read that. And 239-1070, if you want to jump on board, we can get your dialogue where everybody can hear you, just like Kenny a little bit earlier. That and more with you, and we'll do it all after our next guest on the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. From the Indianapolis Star, it is Joel A. Erickson who joins us. So, your belief going in compared to what you witnessed earlier today from Shane Steichen, and then moving forward to week number 1. What do you think the feeling is around that locker room about this decision at quarterback?
I think from talking to some of the players that there's probably it sounds like. I think Michael Pittman put it best. They're in a spot where you feel badly for Anthony, you feel good for Daniel. You don't know how to necessarily reconcile those two things together in a way that makes a good package. But also, it does sound like Daniel Jones has done a good job of integrating himself into that locker room over the past 4 months or 5 months since he's been signed.
It's Joel A. Erickson of the Star talking about Daniel Jones being the starter. And then Anthony Richardson, his future. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. So as far as Jones is concerned, compare that to Richardson. Listen, I'm not there as much as you are, so I know that you would have a great deal of information. Did you see a wide gap from what you witnessed at training camp between the two quarterbacks?
I think that the gap that I saw would probably be made up for somewhat with Richardson's big plays, but I did have Jones at close to 10% better completion rate. He doesn't throw the ball down the field as much. He had fewer periods of practice where he kind of didn't have a lot of completions at all. There was more of that from Richardson. I think in listening to Shane Steichen, though, I think that a lot of the stuff is maybe stuff that would be tougher for us to see. Is the ball going to the right spot? Is the cadence right behind the line of scrimmage? Is it helping the offensive line get off the ball? Is it false starts, that kind of thing? Is he making all of the right checks at the line? The thing about NFL football is that in the current era, it is all about figuring out what your opponent does, how to attack them, and how to counter whatever they come up with as a counter to your attack. And because of that, the quarterback's job is you have to be really on top of all of that stuff. And it sounds like Steichen decided that Jones was more ready to do all of that.
It's Joel A. Erickson of the Star talking about the Colts quarterback decision today. He's kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. So even though you say all the right things, again, things that have to be said considering the circumstances, do you believe that Anthony Richardson's career is over here, outside of injury?
I think it's going to be really tough for him to come back. I was trying the other day to come up with an example of another player who'd been in this situation where they've been benched once, brought back, something like that. I don't know if you can. And that's kind of the theme of Richardson's career, is that the Colts have kind of always been hoping for something beyond something that didn't have a lot of precedent, just in terms of his lack of experience coming out of college. Some of the other stuff And this just adds another layer on it. We're talking like for him to make it with the Colts outside of injury, it's going to have to be something that's never happened before in NFL history.
Yeah, that's what I think too. And Joel, I don't think it's too off target to suggest this is one of the biggest bust selections in the history of the league right now. Would you agree?
That's a great question. There have been enough of them, especially at the quarterback position, that there's probably a lot. But yeah, you can't miss on a number 4 pick.
Hey, Joel, I'm going to let you play off of this. Jamarcus Russell, Achilles Smith, and I don't know when a lot of these guys were drafted, but I know that they're described as bust. Gosh, I can't. Those are the two that come off the top of my head right now. I mean, I know we live in the moment, Joel. I do realize that too, but I think you would at least have to categorize this as one of the biggest busts of all time, considering what has been given back, because we've seen virtually nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you throw Tim Couch to be another high pick.
Ryan Leaf.
Carr would be another high pick. Those guys. Yeah, if he never gets another real shot starting, his career would fall in somewhere in that mix of the guys you just mentioned.
I know that Daniel Jones can move. Would you think you ever see a time where they would slot Anthony Richardson in there in a short yardage situation near the goal?
That's interesting. It's interesting because Daniel Jones has good enough speed to make some plays with his legs, but he doesn't have Richardson's power. We've kind of seen in the past that Richardson's power as a runner is very, very effective down there on the goal line. And so, yeah, I think that's maybe a possibility. Now, he's your backup quarterback too, and do you want to get into a situation where it's Daniel Jones or Riley Leonard as the emergency quarterback? Maybe you don't do it because of that. I think like when the Saints started doing this with Taysom Hill, they had a backup to Drew Brees, and then Taysom Hill was doing his other stuff. So I don't know if you see it often, but I think that, Steichen has shown in the past that he'd be willing to do it maybe once or twice.
Is the playbook still as open for Jones as it might be for Richardson? How do the two playbooks and play calls compare with the quarterbacks? And then how does that have an impact, I guess, on his teammates offensively?
I think in some ways the playbook is more open with Jones. Maybe not from a rushing standpoint. I think it's probably less open in terms of the different. Like I don't know that you can run the quarterback straight up the middle as much with Jones as you could with Richardson. Although, it'd be fair to question whether or not that was the right thing to do with Richardson given the injury history. But I don't think you can do as much of that. I do think in the passing game, though, some of the stuff that Steichen is talking about with the operation, the knowing the offense, all of that stuff, it allows them to do a little bit more game planning probably week to week would be my guess. Then now, the flip side of that is you also probably lose some downfield balls. Alec Pierce is probably not getting as many moonshots down the field. So I think from an actual plays called standpoint, it probably opens the playbook in that they can run a bunch of different stuff. I think in terms of, is it a deep ball, is it that kind of stuff, I think there's some restrictions there that you're not going to necessarily see as much.
Here's Joel of the Star talking Colts on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I know you're as curious about this as I am, but I guess I would have to go with your opinion here. We know how Shane Steichen felt because he ultimately made the decision. How do you think Chris Ballard, or maybe even better yet, Carly Ursay-Gordon, felt about that final decision?
Well, Carly Ursay-Gordon did say, the other day on the broadcast that this was going to be Shane Steichen's decision. And she has so far, if I remember correctly, she has said that it is for her a wait and see approach this season. So I would based off of what she said, I think she made it was Steichen. I think from a Chris Ballard standpoint, Chris is definitely going to be he's gonna push back on any narrative that Richardson's career is done. He's not gonna want to do that. He's not gonna want to close the door on that. I think that the fact that he was willing to say in his initial press conference that they needed to go out and get real competition when this offseason first started back in January, that they needed to go out and get real competition for for Anthony Richardson, and that he was also the one to say it would be an open competition at the Combine. I would say that he was probably prepared for this eventuality based on the way they handled the offseason.
So, Joel A. Erickson of the Stars, kind enough to join us. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Daniel Jones is the quarterback. How much disappointment do you think Shane has, considering he's supposed to be this huge offensive guy and being able to deal with quarterbacks? And this is, as I think you and I both agree, this is the end result with Anthony Richardson. Going into year 3, he can't beat out a guy that's 20 stinking games under 500 in his NFL career. Is that a failure for Shane Steichen? Because I believe it to be.
Well, Shane was one of the driving forces in drafting Richardson and believing that they could develop him into that kind of player. And, yeah, to not have it happen, I think there's got to be some disappointment there. You wonder if, from a development standpoint, if Steichen's strength is more along the lines of he can design an offense that fits the quarterback. He can, he'll design something that they can run that will take advantage of their strengths, that kind of thing. But in terms of the day-to-day stuff that we've heard, the operation of the huddle, all that stuff, I wonder if he's more of he can design the offense, but is he the hands-on type of quarterback developer? Because Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts, and this is part of the Richardson decision to draft Richardson. The two guys that he worked with before, those guys were very experienced. Like all of that stuff, they had very large programs. So all of that stuff they kind of understood intrinsically from their careers before. Richardson was a different case in that he was kind of a raw lump of clay that didn't have that background in all the stuff he's supposed to do.
So I know the circumstances a year ago, Joe, were different, but we also heard regarding Joe Flacco that it was going to be the rest of the year. Do you think that there'd be maybe a change in judgment if things don't work out? Because, listen, you know me to be Mr. Must-Win guy. There's no bigger must-win. And I also will tell you in week number 1, Joel, the bar is set so low considering what week 1 has represented for this organization for so many years now. And you get the Dolphins where the secondary is absolutely ripe to be torn apart. There could not be a better moment for Daniel Jones to have at least a 1-week resurrection in week number 1. I mean, really, they should. But you look at it in terms of early in the season. What impact do you think he will have against teams like the Dolphins and the Broncos in weeks 1 and 2?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just that it's a different, or at least it should be, like the hope in, I think, for Shane Steichen in making this move is that the hope is that it's a different offense from it actually moves the chains, it holds onto the ball, they can move the ball down the field in a way that's not just explosive plays. The Dolphins, I'm with you. That team has lost so much defensive talent over the last couple of years. That's a nice landing spot, I think, for a new quarterback. The Broncos are not. The Broncos are the type of defense that he's going to have to prove that all of this stuff that Steichen is saying about the operation and everything like that is true, because the Broncos are going to test you from a blitz standpoint. They're going to test you from a bunch of different coverages. That's the kind of defense that I think is the reason that Steichen felt like he had to make the move to Jones this year.
So Joel A. Erickson is with us. It is something. Did you expect this? And I guess furthermore, did you think that going all the way back when they brought Daniel Jones in, did they legitimately think that he would ultimately be named the starter for week number 1? Did they buy what they were even trying to sell to everybody back then, in your estimation?
I think that they believe that he could be, yes. I would say that from my standpoint, I've kind of gone back and forth the last couple weeks, kind of frustratingly so on my part. In fact, I even think I said on our joint station, I think I said I thought it was going to be Richardson. In fact, I did say that after the game, and then I went back and listened to Shane Steichen for the second time. You know, you do the press conference, then you go through some other stuff, and then you listen to it and type it out. And in typing it out, I was thinking to myself, I was like, he's talking about Daniel Jones, and I probably shouldn't have said what I just said on TV. So I've kind of gone back and forth on it. I think the hardest part with this, and the part that makes it difficult, I think, for fans and for everybody to kind of understand is that this decision is made, it sounds like, primarily on stuff that is not easy for us to see.
Sure.
It's not easy for Ed Dodd said this last week, it's not even always easy for a front office person to know that the right audible was made or that the ball went to the right spot or that the cadence was right and stuff like that. So I think that's the hardest part for us, is that this is stuff that's not easy for us to see. Even if you are out at practice and watching it every day, you know, you can have a short completion in practice or a completion in practice that it goes out as a completion in the book, but the ball didn't go to where it was supposed to, or there was a blitzer who would have sacked him if it wasn't red jerseys. I think that's the hardest part, is some part of this decision is stuff that we could not easily see.
I think we'd all understand maybe so far the Richardson signature moment was the tapping on the helmet of a year ago. But I also think, I don't know if you do or not, that's why I'm asking, when he got a job-owed in that first preseason game, was that a defining moment as to why do you think, at least things as you had mentioned earlier, we can't see, but this is something we saw when they put his pinky on sideways? Was that a defining moment ultimately that helped lead to this decision, you think?
I think it was a signpost, yeah. I think it was a signpost in terms of, you know, he that was his rusher. That was his rusher. He was hot on that side. His job was to make the play so that the rusher doesn't get to him, and he didn't make it. And I think that's a signpost that was kind of an alert that maybe there was some of this stuff that had been a problem for him in the past was still a problem or going to be a problem.
I know historically guys don't play, but preseasons are a little bit different now than they used to be in closing here, Joel. But if you're talking about a guy that needs more and needs to show more, yet and Richardson will not participate in that final preseason game, is that more of what you said earlier? He's the backup quarterback, and you can't put him out there to get him injured, or is it what happens if the guy goes out there and looks absolutely outstanding and that screws up everything here? Is there a dynamic at work on either way in that final preseason game?
I think the biggest thing is just how many guys left injured on Saturday. My initial thought and understanding was that they were going to play some of their guys a little bit more in that third preseason game. I think they just, and there's still a fairly lengthy list of people out at practice. I think that the sheer numbers of players who are dealing with or have dealt with something here in the last little bit, I think is what ultimately led to that decision.
You get it, though. I mean, it does. When you talk about a guy needs this and needs that and is still learning, and then you already take away all this opportunity for him to learn and to participate, and then he doesn't, with that chance to do so on Saturday. That's why people kind of look at this a little bit sideways, Joel, altogether.
Yeah, but I think if he goes out there and looks great against the Bengals, you go, well, we've made our decision.
Yeah.
I think it has more to do with just they've run into a couple of real scares here with some very important players, and they don't want to have any more scares turn into injured reserve opportunities like happened to Hunter Waller last week.
Hey, Joe, how long have you been here?
I started 5 games into the 2018 season.
Wow. How much enjoyment have you actually seen fulfilled?
Well, I was off to a good start there.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
I saw a Jets loss, and then it was 10 of the next 11. And then the Phillip Rivers year was quite fun, I thought.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah. I understand the pain from Colts fans. This is very difficult to continually be going through, and I think part of the reason that they're so frustrated is that in choosing Daniel Jones over Anthony Richardson, they're signaling in one way or the other that in his third year he's not ready to start. Like that's the guy that was supposed to be the guy for you. That's the guy that was supposed to be pull you out of where you've been. Yeah, I get it. It totally makes sense to me from a fan standpoint, why this is as frustrating and as disheartening as it probably is, because he was supposed to give you hope. And, as much as the Colts have said, as much as they brought up Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold and those guys like that, most fans know in general, those guys are the exception, not the rule. And so I think that's why the fan base is fairly disappointed and disheartened right now.
I had said this all along, that if Anthony Richardson did not start and play this season, that there's really no reason to have everybody around. And that's kind of how I feel. Because I think, unfortunately, we're all going to end up, and we'll see how the season goes. It still has to be played, but I just think we're going to end up where we were in that general vicinity of a year ago, when you could have expedited this process. And again, I don't know what you do with quarterback, but I know you could do something similar as to what you're doing right now. To me, this just looks like it's going to be a wasted year, knowing something you already know. And hey, Joel, the dynamic at work was, Jim wasn't feeling great, as we well know. You had all this other stuff going on. I do realize that. But at the same time, it just seems like, again, organizationally, there's been the dragging of the feet that leads us down a similar path, and we're on our way to a similar result. And I think that's until further notice, that's how I think I have to view it, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone is going to be picking. I don't think anyone is going to be picking the Colts as a contender this year. It's on them to prove. It's on them to prove that this is something more than where they've been the last however many years, because that's what we've seen. And with moving forward to the future, I think it's instructive, like Carly Ursay-Gordon said, in her introductory press conference, she needs to see how the season plays out. She needs to know all that stuff. But she also said, that the standard has not been met, and that Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen know that. And so, I think we all know the potential implications of that, and they've got to prove that this decision to go to Jones is going to get them somewhere that we haven't seen them get in a while.
Joel Erickson of the Star. Not a lot of winning for Joel as he's been here. I will say this, too. Phillip Rivers, year 2, as they expected, had that taken place, things might have been a little bit different. That was I thought that many times. Yeah,
I thought that many times.
And they thought that, and they were wrong about that, and that was costly. Not as costly as dumping Manning or as costly as, Luck's decision, but I think that's right along the lines. Had they been able to bridge the gap to year 2 of Rivers as they expected, things could have and maybe would be drastically different. So, but what are you going to do?
That's the quarterback game in the NFL.
Indeed.
It is a bunch of missed opportunities or made opportunities, and they're all sliding doors moments one way or the other.
Now, in honor of your yellow tie on Saturday, I'm rocking a yellow polo today.
They introduced me on TV with a picture of my boys and I at the Brewers game in Cincinnati on Friday, and I figured I would go Brewers colors on air too, just to play into what they were already doing.
Yeah, that was I don't know, maybe I shouldn't call it yellow. Maybe it was gold. The golden tie. I'm going with the golden shirt today. Hey, well done as always, man. I appreciate you on a busy day. We'll do it again soon.
Hey, thank you.
Jolie Erickson of the Stars on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Thus, the guest list completes, and it's you and I the rest of the way. Text stream, text line, 317-239-1070, or you can dial 239-1070 and get on the show. Stream the app, HD Radio, and plenty of opportunity for you to chime in on whatever thoughts you have regarding Daniel Jones being the starting quarterback in Week 1. Rick Carlisle being extended by the Pacers, well done. And Sophie Cunningham done for the season. All that and more coming up with you. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I guess you could say somewhat surprised, but at the end of the day, we all knew somebody was going to have to be on this end of the stick, and it was me. I feel like I did improve. That's what I talked about earlier. My improvement was there, but it's still ways I can improve. It's still ways I can become a better player, become a starter in this league. So I feel like I did a decent job in improving, but there's still a lot more I can do. It's only about to be year 3. Shane already talked about me being 23 years old, so I still got more time. I still got more time to grow and be a great guy in this league. So I'm looking forward, and I'm thankful for every opportunity.
Anthony Richardson, when many like me believe everything is done with him, he's believing he can still learn and be out there at some point and do something. Here, it looks like it is all but done, clearly, unless Daniel Jones gets injured. The number 1 quarterback in week 1 is that of Daniel Jones. Steve chimes in with this. Daniel Jones is Minshew with a better arm and no big play capability because, and I actually, Steve, referenced him, I believe I said Gardner Flacco. No big play capability because he won't push the ball down the field and is check down Charlie. Ballard and Steichen have to go if they don't make the postseason. So, other than winning, because Phillip Rivers was a really good quarterback, is there a comparison to be made between Daniel Jones and Phillip Rivers at all? Other than Phillip Rivers was a statue. And Daniel Jones is not a statue. Maybe that's about it. JMV, since neither quarterback will be here long, let's bench them both and play Riley Leonard to see what happens. JMV, what did Jones do? He isn't going to get booed. Dream on, nor should he. If he is the quarterback, you get behind him. He's a player, not management. Beyond that, I don't think you can underestimate the damage done by tapping out. Would agree with that too, Patrick. Josh writes this, between the Colts, Pacers, and Fever, think of all the injuries over the past 5 years. Why is this happening? It's crazy. I always felt Cincy had the injury jinx. Feels like it moved up I-74. Yeah, everybody gets in. I got injured. We're all getting injured. Robbie writes this, the Colts did the retread quarterback for so long that they finally got a high draft pick only to squander. By the way, that will go down in history as one of the worst all time. You can look that up too if no further progress is made. Everyone over there deserves to be fired right now. T. Shaw, by week 4, needle insertion arrogant POS will be the starting quarterback for the Colts. Thank you. Shout out. I saw Kirk today in the Franklin Meyer. I love the Franklin Meyer. Love it. Shout out to Kirk. Kirk, you got to say something, though, man. I cannot be the only one that loves the Franklin Meyer. Ben writes this, I just got in the car after hearing the news, JMV. Is this a Ballard mandate to keep his job? No, this is not a mandate for anybody. Like, this is Shane Steichen, too, looking in the mirror and saying, hey, look what you didn't do. You failed. You, the offensive guru, the quarterback guy, you can't get going into year 3, Anthony Richardson ready to start week 1 over a guy that's 20 games under 500 in his career. You can't do that? You guys all made the wrong pick. You all screwed this up. I mean, simply put, Ben, everybody's rear is on the line here, and it should have been long ago. That's why I suggest, why are we here? Why are we here? Does it feel like at times it's not worth jacking with? That's kind of what I feel like right now. All right, 239-1070. Let's go to Coop on line 2 to start here. Coop, welcome to the show.
What's going on, JMV? I would say that this is the norm in the NFL. Okay, the only time the Colts have ever been good in Indianapolis is when they had 2 no-brainers drop in their lap. Okay?
Yes.
The toughest thing in football is to find the quarterback. every team's wrong most of the time. I'm not a Ballard guy, but they took a swing and they missed big time. And there's a price to pay for that, but that's the rest of the league. That's the NFL.
Yeah. There've also been, listen, and I also get this too. When you go back.
I mean, Andy Reid, the quarterback guru, wasn't any good until he got a great quarterback. I mean, what would his history have been? Just a good coach.
No, he's pretty good in Philadelphia.
And he got a great quarterback, and he ended up the best.
But no, I mean and that's listen. What you're saying is accurate. You have to find a good quarterback, but you can't take stinking forever to do it. No matter what Andrew Luck did, or getting rid of Manning, or what Phillip Rivers decided, it can't take stinking forever to do it, and it has with decision after decision. I would say this. One of the best quarterbacks right up until the final 2 weeks of the season we have seen in recent memory is Carson Wentz. You would take Carson Wentz's numbers of that year right now with Daniel Jones in a minute. In a heartbeat. Yes.
Yeah.
Coop in a heartbeat.
Anyways.
Where's Carson? Carson Wentz is still in Zionsville. Go get him. I don't know. Listen,
but it is what it is, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is, and I wish I could cobble together 3 hours of just saying that, because it does wear us all out. I agree, but there is more in detail and means and ways you have to put it.
One last thing about Anthony Richardson. I mean, he's a guy that has gotten through his whole life.
Yes.
Based on talent alone. Okay?
Yes.
Now, guess what? He's really, really talented. So talented that he could get to the NFL on talent alone.
Yes.
But it finally hit him in the face. They took a swing and a miss. The guy, the fact when he got flattened in that preseason game, you knew he doesn't recognize it. He can't see it. I mean, it was as clear as day to me.
Yeah,
the
hey, Coop,
never going to make it.
You got two signature moments: the tapping on the helmet, and then that preseason game in Baltimore where his pinky was pointing east and west, and he got a job-owed. That's the two signature moments of his career here, right there.
I mean, the fact that he is such an exceptional talent. I mean, none of us have ever been able just to get out of bed and be so good that we can go about our whole life. Okay, he has exceptional talent. Unfortunately, in the NFL, you can't get to the very, very top unless you got the whole package.
Oh,
you can't just win on talent.
You bring up one. Who has just gotten out of bed and been that good no matter what? Has there been anybody?
Not a guy like you and me. Not us.
Like, you just get away with it on talent or looks, whatever. I mean, is there anybody in that capacity? Because that is a group, a club, if there is one, I would love to be a part of, Coop.
Hey, man, you're fond of Matthew McConaughey. He might be the guy.
Hey, listen, you might be right about that. You might be right.
I don't know that he's that talented.
Yeah, it's all he does is act, he put on weight, lose weight, and smoke weed. That's a glorious lifestyle. Thank you, brother.
Have a good one.
Coop, I appreciate it. Coop's right about a lot of things right there. The problem is there is a grading scale here, and it can't take forever. It shouldn't take forever. And organizationally, and I know Jim's no longer with us, but there was a promise after what everybody went through in those early years. You put up with it because it was new, it was fresh, it was enjoyable. You really didn't care what happened. And then you got a taste of winning in 1995 at the tail end of the season, and then you got it consistently. And you got a consistent operation. Right, the quarterback can fall to you, and that's what is magical. But, man, let's not undersell how good Bill Polian was at his job. He found dudes. Did he miss? Absolutely. But he found dudes here, there, and everywhere. And it wasn't just one or two. It was meaningful positions. He went with the grain. He went against the grain. I mean, hell, sometimes people suggest that it wasn't his decision to get Manning. It was somebody, whomever. And I've always said this, that organization, for whatever reason, Bill Polian was perfect because he was like the dictator over there. Don't laugh. But he knew everything. I've told those stories before. He knew everything. He knows everything what's going on in the football operation. He knew how many paper clips were on the secretary's desk. There were forbidden hallways. You can't walk down that hallway without a credential. You're not a part of the football. I mean, it was just a different environment. And like he had his own show every Monday night that was must listen. I don't even know if that exists anymore. And maybe it doesn't have to if you find the right guy. But I think as important as the quarterback always will be, the most important, I think also important was that consummate leader. And Tony Dungy was a leader, but Polian was the overall. He took everything. He took the arrows, all of it. I think sometimes that gets a bit lost in the shuffle. Courtney's at 239-1070. Hello, Courtney.
Hey, John. It's been a minute. How you doing?
Good to hear from you, Courtney. Go ahead.
Man, I'm just at not lost for words, but I'm just a little numb at the moment. I don't know what to think. I don't know, man. I just feel like, don't get me wrong. I liked when they signed Daniel Jones to the team. So I really feel like that they had a good backup because I really was hoping that Anthony Richardson would come out and start, but turns out we got this instead. But I don't know. I'm kind of confident this probably be good for AR, maybe in a way, but I don't know, man.
Are you more disappointed in the pick in this case that is a bust as we stand, or the fact that organizationally you have a bunch of folks over there that never could get this guy pointed in the right direction with all those tools to succeed? Because that's where I find myself. Why was he unable to be directed, to coached up, to be good enough to win a stinking job over Daniel Jones in week number 1 in year 3? Why is that?
I think, to me, I agree it's the organization in general. Like, from Ballard to down to Shane Steichen. Like, you guys knew that this man was raw. And instead of staying on your plan and let him develop and grow, you panic. Because I feel like the fans have put a lot of pressure on them because we tired of losing. We've been losing for a while, and we just want to see something positive. We already got that from the Pacers, but we're looking for that for our football team, and I guess I kind of felt the pressure off of that and decided to go in this route with back him up and everything. And then part of it is AR too, like. He needs to step up and do better.
There's no doubt.
And I feel like he just can't get there.
But it's not like that should have been known to them too, Courtney, when they drafted him. I mean, if you vet a guy, I mean, you're going to have to understand fully how he goes, how you're going to have to push him, what he's going to be able to evolve into, and clearly either they didn't have much of a notion or what they did have just simply hasn't worked out. So I think a lot of people are similarly disappointed as to you are. I think for me, the ultimate disappointment is just this monumental waste of time we've been on. Like, the Talking Heads have a great song. We can come back out of the break with it. Thank you, Courtney, for the call, man. You call. Make sure you call all season long to get that opinion in. But they have a song called The Road to Nowhere. And that's essentially this organization in a nutshell. It's a road to nowhere. You're not going to finish right. You're not going to start new. We're on a road to nowhere. James is going to cue that up for us. JMV, what does needle insertion POS mean? I've been trying to figure that out since yesterday's show. I'm asking one curmudgeon to another. This Aaron from Minnesota. It is Ben Tenen, who yesterday called me needle insertion POS because I lost weight and used a needle for the past year. Now, I also worked my ass off at it, too, and changed up everything. But, I am needle insertion guy. So he's partly right. But I did work at it. Still do, matter of fact. So I am indeed needle insertion POS. Thank you, Aaron. Quick break. We'll come back. If you're on hold, I'll get to you. We've got an hour 15 of you and I, the remainder of the way. The stream, the app, HD Radio, 317-239-1070. That is the text line, or 239-1070. That's how you get on the air with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Just have one question for you. What color is an orange? Ted, you bonehead. Its color is the same as its name, just like a lemon.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, this is appropriate as hell right here. Hey, JMV, Road to Nowhere was a great Ozzy song, too. Let's see Fitch at Kokomo. God, this song is so appropriate. Hey, I will tell you this. We would be having a similar conversation if the circumstances were different. If Anthony Richardson were the starter, you'd be going, oh, that is just the nature of where we are, and that is what this is about. Not about anything else. There's nothing personal against either quarterback, but that's just kind of where we are. Actually, it's not kind of where we are. It's exactly where we are. Sebastian writes this. This comes down to year after year of Ballard playing it safe. Luck retired. They pivoted to Brissett, Wentz, Rivers, Ryan, who were all safe and conservative options at quarterback. The cycle continued because he was unwilling to take a risk or be aggressive. And then when he was, kind of like their defense under Gus Bradley. They finally take a gamble on AR, and they seemingly can't wait to get back to a more conservative option. BK, Southside says, JMV, do you think if the girls took over before the offseason, would Ballard and Steichen have been canned? I don't think so. It was all coming back regardless. Brad and Frankton, Kirk Cousins looking at houses in Beech Grove. Thank you, Brad. JMV, why are we saying Shane failed at developing Richardson and not Richardson failed at developing? He's a grown man. He hasn't developed. It's year 3. Blame the player, too. Well, yeah, I think he's getting to blame because he's sitting on the bench. Right? I mean, I think the blame is there. It's not like he's still starting. He's getting time. He's getting series. He's benched. So he is getting the blame. Brant, before the top of the hour, 239-1070. How are you?
I'm swell. How are you?
I'm just as swell as you are. I'm swole, matter of fact.
Yeah. So I'm an Indy native living here. I'm really more of a Colts observer.
Yes.
Not really a fan. I'm a Bengals fan, actually, so we have enough problems of our own that could go down that rabbit hole. But I want to talk about, like, everybody's saying, what if we drafted this guy instead of AR? And what if AR just started and showed off the athleticism? If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, then we'd all have a Merry Christmas. That's kind of the way I see it.
Yeah. No, you're right, because what it comes down to is either you have results or you don't. And if you don't, you're done. Or you should be.
Right.
Yeah, correct.
Exactly. And, like, last season he didn't show off enough. And this preseason he hasn't done anything miraculous. They need something new. I don't think Daniel Jones is the wrong answer. I don't think he's the right answer. But objectively, like, switching it up is not a bad play.
No, listen, if that is a part of their rationale, which I don't know how much of a role that plays, just beyond the whole operation and staying away from turnovers and, making sure you make the right decisions. And we're talking about stuff that happens before you actually snap the football. They're looking at that, the whole team leadership value, which sometimes we throw around and say a lot about, but how meaningful is it? I think in this case, across the board, there was a lot of meaning in that. And I think that probably sold them, and I know it sold those that are in the corner of Daniel Jones on him this year, because you have seen in the past, even in small moments, small doses, little thumbnail sketch of what Richardson isn't and what he has yet to become. And I think a lot of people are over it. So that's the dynamic, certainly, I think, that's at work here, Brant, for sure.
I agree. I think they should look at, like, IU football or even hopefully IU basketball, just going with the clean slate approach. I don't know if that would work at the professional level, but at least doing something and switching. Daniel Jones could be an answer. We don't know.
Well, this
Hopefully.
certainly when you bench, the fourth overall selection, a top high pick like that, and you assume the position of drafting a high caliber, a generational bust, then you're not, if you don't win or, a little magic happens this season where you make the postseason, then everything comes to an end, right? Nothing gets rolled back. And that was my assessment of the year after last year is, all right, if you don't have Richardson, if he's not the starter at the start of the year, why are we even jacking with all this? And that's how I feel sitting here right now talking to you. Why are we jacking with all this? But that's how definitely they'll feel at the end of this year if it's the same old, same old. Brant, anything else?
That's all I got. Thanks,
Well done.
JMV.
You call anytime. Thank you very much. More calls coming up after 5. I want you to stick tight with Daniel Jones, the starter, Sophie Cunningham season done, Rick Carlisle's extended, and more on this show next.
With JMV.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, it certainly is. But, I understand this league and how it works, and you've got to perform at a high level week in and week out. And that's certainly what I expect of myself. And I'll be expecting of all of us in this offense. I think we all have high expectations of what we can be.
Daniel Jones, courtesy That Wish TV Channel 8. James over there, I'm John. Thank you for joining us. I need to give a shout out to Cameron had a text message from Fort Wayne, or as I like to reference it, Fart Wayne, the fart. Shout out to Cameron up there too. JMV, as a Purdue and Colts fan, I'm looking forward to having more free time on the weekends. No need to watch crappy football, Adam. I would fair a guess that most of you, either way this decision goes, would feel in similar fashion. Now, here's the thing. Now you get to work your way up to the start of the season. This feeling will go away, and then you'll wipe the slate, not altogether clean, but somewhat clean to start the season. And we'll see how this group looks coming up in week 1 against Miami. As I mentioned, the bar is set so incredibly low. Can you just beat a team that you should beat at home? Finally, in week number 1, get off to a good start. The bar is set so conveniently low. Take advantage of it, Colts and Colts offense. And Daniel Jones. Man, that is long right there. My man, this is Indy on the north side. Longtime listener, first-time texter. I'm going to give you about a paragraph of this really quick. But, man, this is like a book here. And I haven't read since the 8th grade. That was then. This is now S.E. Hinton. It was a good book. But I did watch the movie first. Good leaders look at processes before blaming people. The process of the development of AR was broken from the start, yet they are blaming him and holding him accountable for their failures. The lack of reps, mentorship, rushing, starting, captainship, and more were all mistakes. They failed him long before he ever failed them. I will say this. Thank you, longtime listener, first-time texter from the north side. He's also failed them, too, because he was not prepared and he is not acclimated. You can blame them, I agree, but you have to, Shane Steichen is supposed to be able to put this puzzle together. But you have to have the cooperation of the person you're working with. And that is ultimately what is massively disappointed about this entire thing. Is just that. So you can't beat out a guy that's 20 games under 500 to start week number 1. I mean, I think everybody expected at some point Daniel Jones was going to play, right? You're just used to it by now. But the start of the season, and I think Joel A. Erickson, who joined us last hour, had a great point. We're not privy to seeing what everybody sees. So my judgment is these guys look very similar. But when you look at Anthony Richardson with this group, he also has a past, and he also has 2 signature moments that I bet still plays a role. The tapping on the helmet and then getting a job owed. And you're going to go with somebody that can better position this team offensively to be at its best. That's what you're going with. So, to me, it's not just Steichen and Ballard and just an organizational failure. At some point, you got to stop talking about how young this guy is, and I'm sorry, you got to get all grown up here. And you have to accept that responsibility. And if it doesn't take place, okay, let's just say, for example, he has accepted a responsibility. Maybe there is just no acumen to take hold or grab a hold of it. Maybe he's always going to be all or nothing. Maybe he's going to be the equivalent of baseball's Rob Deere. He's either going to hit a home run or strike out. And this team doesn't want all the Ks. And we can analogy this thing up until we are all blue in the face. But clearly they are taking a guy in week number 1 that they trust with the football more than the other. That, to me, in year number 3 for Anthony Richardson as a top 5 pick, and Daniel Jones as a 6-year guy, 20 games under 500, that is saying we have failed. But it's weird, right? When you play games like this, you can still make it up in the moment. And we'll all sit back and watch and see if this team is able to do it with Daniel Jones. But it's everybody's fault on this. You can't excuse Anthony Richardson. I mean, you can only be young and inexperienced and not ready for so long. And that's where we are. All right, 239-1070. I promised you a lot of calls, and we're going to get to them right here. We'll start with Adam on line 1. Hello, Adam. How are you?
Hey, John. How you doing?
Adam, I'm great. What do you got on this subject?
Well, I'm not too happy. I know back in the past we used to say, the sports arousal. I don't think that's going to happen very much this season, except for watching the defense make some awesome plays like they have in the past to help save us. I don't know. I feel like they should have given it to AR. I don't really trust Daniel Jones, but again, it's not my call. All I do know is that I'm a season ticket member, and I know just as well as you do, we were all in there Saturday, and as soon as AR stepped on the field, they were hooting and hollering and clapping and waving. But when Daniel Jones stepped out to begin, it was dead silent. So, that should tell something of the fan. Like, we know what's going on in the building.
Well, I can tell you this. There are a lot of people on Daniel Jones' side, but as I mentioned before, Adam, the younger generational fans love Anthony Richardson because they view him in a way in which nobody else does, in a way that they only can. Now, I don't fully understand why he gets that much leverage in this case from a fan base, but there is still a great deal of hope. And I think that just comes with being such an Adonis type of athlete to where you think you can get over on everybody. There are so many that still believe that, and they want to see that. They want to see, I mentioned those Hail Mary type of plays where they're highlight reels. There are not enough of them. And the problem is he doesn't make the easy stuff, but a lot of people kind of view those highlight reels as who it really is, and you want to see more, and they expect to see more, and they hate this decision. But, at the same time, I would say you look at all the polls, and all the polls want Richardson. They do. But I don't think it's going to be as bad in week number 1 in that stadium as what others think it's going to be. I think there's going to be, you're going to have a week and a half of time pass. And then if there's any success whatsoever, at least for that moment, that's going to wipe the slate clean, at least for the moment.
Yeah. And I hope we wipe the old Dolphins out when they come in here, just because now that, the word has been put out. So now everybody knows. So they're already prepping. Okay, DJ's going to be starting quarterback. We don't have to worry about the brick house of Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I think it's, unless obviously Daniel Jones gets injured, you're going to see him again. But I think effectively the career's over here. And it's going to go down in history as a massive bust, to say the least. Adam, anything else?
Well, all I'm saying is, hey, look who threw the last part of that game. Jason Bean, he gave us a little flash of hope to Jelani Woods. And good for Jelani Woods for catching that toe tap. I just wish it would have counted. But, I still think Riley Leonard and Jason Bean both show better optimism than Daniel Jones, in my opinion.
Adam, I appreciate that call. Do it again soon, buddy. Great to see you.
Will do.
See, and therein lies an issue when you don't have a quarterback, and it's as bad as this. You also believe everybody's your quarterback, or everybody can be your quarterback. Then you start naming names. This guy's the quarterback. This guy's the quarterback, when it's not true.
It's like Sam Ehlinger all over again.
Yes, everybody. And it's not true, because he couldn't play, and as of right now, these dudes can't play. That is just the circumstance of not having a quarterback. And that's why it is so impactful, the most important position in professional sports. With the Indy 11 tomorrow, I'm going to see you over at Carroll Stadium, by the way. Brian writes this, so what happens if Daniel Jones is successful and they make the postseason? Well, we're going to be in this same stinking spot next year. Are you excited, Brian? Seriously, we're going to be sitting right here. Brian, you and I are sitting right here talking about the same thing this time next year. That is life without a quarterback. Look how Minnesota felt. They lose their rookie. Sam Darnold comes in, has a great regular season, leads them to the postseason, and then completely craps the bed. And look how they feel about him now, that he's gone. It's incredible. But you'll be right back. Brian, you and I will be sitting right here. I'll be going, I can't believe they don't have a quarterback and blah, blah, blah. You're supposed to be able to do this, and they can't do that. And Chris Ballard, you're 10. Seriously. You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. From Chad. Shout out to Chad and Stacy in Madison County. Can the shop make a needle stick POS shirt? We're trying. William writes, this AR will follow the career arc of Miles Turner. I'm trying to figure that one out. Actually, Miles had some. Richardson has had no moments. None. Miles had moments. Like it or not, Miles was a part of a team that went 7 games in the NBA Finals, something that's never been done here. Miles was a part of that. Now, he sucked in the finals, but he was a part of the reason why they were there. What do you know Anthony Richardson for? Off the top of your head right now, you're going to say tapping out and pinky being sideways. Then you don't want to be known as tapping out and sideways pinky guy. Well, I'm pissed at Miles too, but Miles was a part of a team that did bring tremendous joy to a place that has been somewhat joyless for a number of years in professional sports, and helped take a group to a spot this organization has never seen. So is Richardson on the block? You know, I would say no, John, but I would also, if I'm a team out there, I use the term jacking around all the time. I'm just kind of jacking around. I would just maybe feel around a little bit, see what happens. I mean, maybe if the guy here's not a quarterback guru, a guy someplace else is. Do I believe it? No. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. But hell, we're in La La Land anyway with all this crap. We've all been, I think, disappointingly football stoned for the past 7 out of like 8 years or so. It's brutal. That's why we're all kind of hoping on this decision being the right decision with Daniel Jones. I want to see you guys be able to celebrate and have some fun. I want to have some fun talking about it. I want to say, you know what, Daniel Jones, that was the right call. Yeah, you know what? This is a good season for this group. And you look at guys like Jonathan Taylor, DeForest Buckner. And I like Mooney a great deal. I like Bynum. I like guys on that team. I want to see these guys be able to succeed. But I can't sit up here and say it's going to happen unless I believe it to happen. And seeing's believing in this case. Joe's on line 3 at 239-1070. Joe, Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback in week 1. Are you thrilled?
Yes, I am. I think he'll do well. I think he'll have a really good season, and I hope the Colts have a really good season. Even though Anthony Richardson's beginning benched, I still think he's going to come along, and I still think he'll be a good quarterback. It's just going to take him a while. I had a quick statement I wanted to make. Back in the day, I remember old Tony Saragusa.
Yes.
May God bless him.
Yes.
Held a nose tackle for the Colts for years, and he made a comment that he said that through the years, the NFL would pay big bucks to a person that's unproven and not pay the men that's been in the trenches for years the money that has been proven.
Right. There's truth to that. I mean, and I think the comparisons have been made before. You kind of view Richardson viewed like this unpolished diamond, right? And it's almost like you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't. But it is worse in many eyes if you skip over somebody like that and that somebody ends up doing well in another organization than if you end up missing on that particular player, right? And we know that to be true. You think about, teams of the past regarding, Kevin Garnett. The Pacers example is Jonathan Bender. There are many examples of that. You just put all this stock into a player because of the eyeball test, the athleticism. And It's always going to be bad if it doesn't work out, but it's going to always be worse if it does work out and it works out somewhere else. So you always have people that think they can do it. And, in the Colts case, they were making a changeover. They're going a heavy offense, and somebody and Shane Steichen that had a great deal of success coming in here as the head coach, and he liked the idea, evidently, of bringing Richardson in, and he was going to polish that diamond into something, and this is not how it was supposed to be here. And unfortunately, that's problematic for everybody over there, including the head coach, because this is a decision he makes that is also highly critical of the job that he has done, the failure that he has had getting this guy prepared to be a starter in year 3 in the NFL for the team that picked him number 4 overall. Those are things you can't sidestep.
Very well put. Thank you for your
What else you got, Joe?
Your opinion. It was sad to hear that Sophie Cunningham got hurt for the Fever, and I know that you are a DirecTV person. We also had DirecTV. Can you watch all the games of the Fever either by streaming or DirecTV, or some of them just not shown?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know half the time where the hell they are. I don't. And then I don't have the patience to look, and I just say the hell with it. I'll just go someplace else to watch 15 missed layups. So, yes, yeah. I mean, that part drives me nuts. Now, we'll say this because he's a friend of the show. I'm hardcore going to find Pat Boylan someplace. I like Pat. I like his calls. But I'll be damned if I'm going to look all night long to find out on what night of the week this team is playing. So if it's not easy, I'm not doing it. And the NBA is going to be problematic on this. I think we're going to have problems across the board with this, with the streaming services and channels and networks and all this. You're going to lose a lot of us if it's that time and that effort to find these things. That drives me nuts.
Yep.
Maybe I should be better, certainly smarter. Unfortunately, I'm not, Joe. What else?
Yep. That's it. I know if old Slick was still alive, he'd be saying boom, baby, when the Fever hit 3-pointer.
Yeah, well, I will give them credit, too. I mean, they got their head above water with this. It is unbelievable what they put up with injury-wise. So I give them full credit. And I'm going to tell you what, the savior of the league, the team, and everything, if Caitlin Clark ever comes back and gets this thing going in the right direction, I mean, that's legendary stuff right there. So we'll see if the table is set for her to be the legendary status that many people believe that she should be.
There's so much talent in the WNBA, and I know the Fever can go far, especially if everybody gets healthy. Thanks.
Joe, thank you for the call. JMV, only 71 days until the Pacer season opener. Hang in there, bud, and always remember 3 is better than 2. Brett, there is no greater description. 3 is better than 2. Why am I jacking around with a 2? Hey, your 15-footer went in great. I know. That makes me sound like analytics nerd right there. My bad. Hey, JMV, Smitty here, a.k.a. Chad. That's Smitty's barbershop. I'm going to go over there and get my hair cut. I'm going to get barbered. Actually, I think Smitty's playing a little hoopage with us later on tonight, too. Well done, Smitty. James, that's Smitty that I called Chad all Sunday morning long. Hey, Chad. Hates the decision at first, but Shane's press conference settled me down. I still don't think Richardson's career here is over yet. I think he gets one more shot at some point this season because of injury or ineffectiveness. Bill Polian was remarkable, which is why he's a Hall of Famer. However, even he could not win a Super Bowl without one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. That's just how it is. JMV, sometimes you get served a Mountain Dew bottle full of whiz. You drink up or you don't. It's an unsavory situation either way. That's from Coop. Wait a minute. I'm trying to break down that analogy of your Mountain Dew bottle full of whiz right here. You got served a Mountain Dew bottle full of whiz? That's unfortunate.
What, are you in the desert with no other options?
Some whiz right here. Chris Hutton writes this. Typically, I would never think this, but I think they should tank for Arch Manning next year. I think the problem is Arch Manning is going to get more money going back to Texas next year than he would going in the NFL as a rookie. So I don't know if he would come out. And I sure as hell don't know if they're going to be bad enough for them to be all the way up there to have a shot at anybody. That Nussmeier character from LSU or anybody else for that matter. So that does kind of make this problematic. Bill's at 239-1070. Bill, jump on here before the break. What do you got, brother?
Hey, JMV, where are you going to be at this week? Are you out
Billy,
anywhere?
I'm at the Indy 11 tomorrow at Carroll Stadium. However, buddy, next week starts a run of incredible weekly events that I want you to be fully a part of, everyone. And it starts with Sid's in Noblesville a week from Thursday on a tavern tour stop. And it will be never ending. We don't stop until January, Billy. Are you up for it? And by the way, too, shout out to Mike Manley, because Mike sent me a text the other day. You clearly tell him every time we talk about Manley's Irish Mud on this show. And he's very appreciative of that, Billy.
Well, I do. And I appreciate that. And that's my home away from home. So
yes, well,
can't wait till you get there.
You are going to be with us, buddy, and it is going to be spectacular. I would advise everybody, especially next week, Sid's in Noblesville on Thursday, Mystic Waters Campground Friday and Saturday. It is going to be an epic Labor Day weekend bender. I can't wait to see you all up there, Bill, you included.
Absolutely, man. I'll be there. Hey, I wanted to say a couple of things. Carly Gordon-Ursay said it best a couple of weeks ago when she gave that interview, and when she was asked about Anthony Richardson, she concluded her thought with saying, "If he wants it bad enough." That's pretty much a quote from her. And she's on the sideline. She's on the sideline down there with the players and everything. And even though she's not in the huddle, she can probably sense a few things. She's a smart football person, been around the game for a long time. So I think that I think that she kind of tipped the hand of what Anthony Richardson needed to do. And everybody knows that there's a coach and a GM salivating out in the NFL thinking that they can fix him.
Yeah.
Just give me a shot at fixing him. So I say hold on to him until somebody gets to be desperate or somebody gets to be bold enough.
Somebody's going to take a swing. I mean, hell, they took a swing at Trey Lance, so why did you not take a swing at him, too, one of these days? So, yes, that's absolutely going to occur, Billy. Yeah.
I absolutely think Shanahan would be a guy that would take a shot at Anthony Richardson. But I wanted to pivot a little bit here and talk about Johnny Furphy. The Pacers, I think that he's going to get some significant minutes this year. I think he had a pretty good summer. This guy can shoot from outside. He's got good hops, and if he puts on some weight and like everybody else, picks up the defense a little bit, I think we're going to see a lot of Johnny Furphy this upcoming year. What do you think?
I think yes. Are you a believer like me that this team's going to be a hell of a lot better than what people suggest?
Absolutely.
Me too, buddy.
Unquestionably.
Me too.
But that's fine. That's fine. Show us a disrespect card. Show the Pacers a disrespect card. You'll eat it in June.
You got that right. Billy, I can't wait. Next week is going to be spectacular. Make sure you're with us, okay?
Will do, Sam. See you later.
Jimmy in Broad Ripple writes this, JMV, I can't help but feel that Daniel Jones' experiment will be the same as the Joe Flacco experiment. Gardner Flacco, Joe Minshew. We're going to be proven a veteran to run this offense, and he's not going to get the job done. Crap, we got to go back to Richardson. The organization has been inept since Ballard got here. Can we please have a change? I've said this all along, too. If Richardson didn't start in week number 1, why are we here? Now, 1, we have to be here, but why are we here? Why have things not dramatically changed? It isn't an indictment on the organization. It's an indictment on the head coach, general manager, the quarterback himself. And we'll see what Daniel Jones can do in week number 1 because, Colts fans, that's your starter. And again, the bar is very low. Go out there and kick the crap out of Miami. Get started with a win for once in 1,000 years in week number 1. It's a Miami secondary that's either dinged up or defected the hell out of South Florida. That's how you change some minds. That's how you change some opinions in week number 1. Quick break, we'll come back. Your calls, Rick Carlisle, extended. Sophie Cunningham, done. JMV, back after this.
Cool, so I'd like to have a few words with you, by God.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, crank it up. What is it, week 3 with the throwback on CBS of the old school NFL Today with Brent Musburger? Crank it, James. Our fantasy football league will need participants. The intangibles of that would be we select you to be a part of it. How many teams or individuals or players are we going to have?
There are 12 total teams, so there are 10 open spots.
I am giving away urine samples. No, actually, I'm giving away samples from Heaven Hill Distillery. I am not giving away urine samples. I don't want you getting into that. I'll get in trouble. But, yeah, how should I put this? A bucket full of samples from Heaven Hill Distillery. You know what? We need to add something else, too. I wonder if I could just go ahead and throw somebody else in right now with gift cards. We know a lot of people out there that have gift cards. I bet Tommy S. would like to be involved in this, for sure. Nally, Tommy S. Coach's Tavern, Nally, Joe's Grill, Free Spirit, Kyle, Taylor's Pub, the 3 locations, 2 on Indy's North Side, 1 in Angles. Ooh, Rob, Behringer's, Manly's Irish Mutt. Yeah, I'm going to add more. It may not all be, like the prize may not all be what it is at the end. I'm going to keep working on that. James, what's the timetable for getting bodies into this?
Well, I believe, let me look it up here on the app. I can't remember the exact date. I believe it's 2 weeks from yesterday is when I had scheduled the draft, but we can still adjust that if we want to do it on a weekend. But I'm hoping by the end of next week to have the entire league, everybody in there, everybody ready to go.
Well, hell. That will be our fantasy football league. Let's do it. All right, this from Greg. The NFL is a passing league, and Richardson can't pass. When your main skill is being a human wrecking ball and you can't stay healthy, you're borderline useless. Drafting Richardson was nothing more than hubris. Now, I'm going to have to look that up. I don't really know what that means. Define hubris for me, would you? The coach and general manager thought they could get something out of him that nobody else could because they were just so good.
Hubris is excessive pride or self-confidence.
No, hubris. I don't think I've ever used that in a sentence before. Thank you, Greg. I will use that now. I have a great deal of hubris when I'm hooping. A great deal of hubris. The stuff that we have seen from Richardson with our own eyes is garbage. There was a play against the Packers where Richardson made about a 25-yard completion down the field. That all seemed great until you saw the play from a different angle, and the running back was wide open down the sideline. He just doesn't see stuff that he's supposed to see. Therein lies the reason Daniel Jones is going to be the starter in week number 1, or at least one of the reasons. A handful of them. Polly says, save the urine sample for Ask Pat when a caller needs help keeping animals away from their garden. I will. See, I got to go enough, Polly. I know that for sure, man. It's like I've got a path going to the bathroom every night. I don't know what that's about. There's not even any, I don't know if there's any, I used to have kind of a sponge going on somewhere, bladder-wise. I think it just goes from my throat right to my, yeah.
It's just a straight
comes
line.
Comes right out. Doesn't stop anywhere.
Free-flowing, you're saying.
Brandon writes, unfortunately, Richardson had the elite physical talent, but nothing else. Proven injury-prone, proven bad decisions on the field, and proven immaturity and a gross lack of awareness with that tap-out. That's a bad combination for a quarterback. And, Brandon, you're right. That has proven costly. 239-1070 is that number. Leon is up next on Live 5. Hello, Leon. How are you?
All right. How you doing, JMV?
Great, Leon. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a few comments. The first one is you mentioned Bill Polian.
Yes.
And if you think about the best era of Colts football in Indianapolis, it was during the Bill Polian era.
True that.
And to compare that era to Ballard's era, you know, it's shameful. Ballard has taken us back to the Colts before Bill Polian.
Yes.
Now, I'm not anti-Daniel Jones. He's a Colt, and I support all the Colts, and I hope them to all be successful. But I have to be honest. There was nothing I saw in the preseason games or nothing I heard on this show from people that attended the camps that indicated that he separated himself from Richardson. So it's like he didn't win the job. He was handed the job, and he was handed the job before camp even started. That's how it feels.
To me, it's just he handles the team better. He handles everything better. And I think what Shane Steichen described to us today, Leon, is he believes Richardson to be a one-trick guy. All right?
And
occasionally the big play, and that's it.
And to that point, Ballard should be held accountable for that. Because everybody else
Steichen should too.
Going into the draft.
Yeah. I mean, Ballard and Steichen.
Last chance. Remember, he was so bad that Ursay had to step in and do his job.
But here's the bank here, Leon, is the fact that if you go with the guy that you truly believe in, and then all of a sudden you end up, pushing into the postseason or, whatever it's going to take to come back again, they feel that they give themselves and this team more of an opportunity to win and be successful with Jones than they do Richardson. And that is an indictment on Ballard and Steichen and on absolutely everybody that thought that they could concoct a plan, an idea to turn this physical specimen into an NFL quarterback, which clearly in year number 3, if you're not able to start in week 1, over a guy that's 20 games under 500 after 6 seasons in the NFL, you have failed at doing that.
Yes, and I think it's a bigger indictment on Ballard because this was his last chance after all his other fiascos. And since this didn't work out, he should be terminated immediately. Not Steichen. I think Steichen should be given a season to work without the albatross of Ballard around his neck.
I don't know. I'd like to wonder how that whole thought process went between Shane and Ballard and Ursay Gordon. I'd like to know. I kind of wonder if it was like 2v1 or if this was a unanimous decision. I know it was ultimately Shane's decision, but I would like to know the opinion of the other two. I guess we never will.
Well, I clearly remember when Richardson was drafted before the camp started that Steichen said Minshew is our starter, and Richardson was his backup. And then 2 days later, apparently after a meeting with Ballard, all of a sudden we just been so impressed with Richardson, he's our starter. It made no sense. That was the Ballard move. And Ballard should be held accountable for that. Everybody in the league knew. I mean, everybody in the entire football world
and you know
knew
what?
That Richardson wasn't ready.
Yeah. Leon, here's the thing. I said this all. Thank you for the call, man. You call anytime. I appreciate it. I said this all along. If Richardson wasn't able to start in week number 1, I don't know why we're all here. Now, you could also argue that had everybody been gone after this past year, and they do start new, and they have Daniel Jones, our quarterback, like that we would be right now viewing this in a similar situation. But there would be a new and freshness. There probably would be a younger quarterback in here. I don't know who it would be. It wasn't a robust draft a year ago. I realize that. But you might have a little bit more hope than just hanging on to that fleeting feeling that maybe something can happen this year that hasn't happened in a long time and rarely has happened under the watch of the general manager and certainly has yet to happen going into year number 3 of the head coach. I just don't really know why we're all here with this right now. If Richardson was going to be deemed, once again, not ready to start in week number 1. But here we are. Here we are. JMV, That's hubris, not hummus. Hummus is the spreadable. You put that on crackers and stuff, right? Smitty's Barbershop wants to give a free gift card. Throw that in there, too, I want to get barbered. I'm going to start using, is that a verb? Is that a verb or adjective, barbered? Verb?
Well, you're using it as a verb. I didn't know you could turn the word barber into a verb, but
see,
you are.
But you know me, I actually transfer everything into an adjective. Like I think that I use, right? A lot of descriptions. Smitty's Barbershop. Yes.
Well, what's crazy is I just looked it up, and apparently that's you can use barbered as an actual word. I didn't realize that was an actual word. I thought that was you just making something up.
What do you think you're dealing with over here?
Professional.
Yes, barbered. Thank you, Smitty. Hey, quick break. We'll come back with you guys for the final time. So is this dude's name really the other white meat?
That's what I was told.
The other white meat. What do you think this is going to be about right here? I'm interested. I don't think I've ever received a call from the other white meat. Is that pork? Does he go by pork?
I think pork is technically the other white meat.
I always wanted my name to be pork, but nobody ever went for it.
You really wanted your name to be pork?
I'm not like Porky the Pig.
What age was this?
Yesterday.
Oh.
I know. Hey, quick break. Final time. Don't go anywhere. Daniel Jones is your starter. In case you missed it, Rick Carlisle extended today. And Sophie Cunningham of the Fever done for the season. The Reds a winner last night. We'll get to that and a lot more odds and ends in your calls, and we'll see exactly what the other white meat is all about next.
JMV.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Sorry about that, Dean Warmer. Too late. Hey, crank this portrait up right here. This is early 90s. Fantastic music. Most of you believe the Colts are once again in this situation. James, what's this song called?
It's called Here We Go Again.
God, this is a great song. Going through the same things. Here we go again. That worked well on nothing but the 90s. So is this Sean Williams, the winner right here? Is that Sean Williams from Greenwood? My friend Sean Williams?
It very well could be.
You think there's more than one?
There might be more than one person with that name.
There used to be a Sean Williams that played basketball here for the Pacers. There's also a Sean Williams at Center Grove.
It could be any one of those
that
people.
Has a son named TJ and a son named Kyle. And then occasionally will back out really late notice in morning basketball, which is, if you can't tell, right, I hate that.
It's one of your
I like
favorite
Sean
things.
a great deal. So you don't know if this is the Sean Williams?
It probably is, but I just picked randomly on
I
Twitter.
don't know if there's more than one Sean Williams here, but the horse's name was J.K. the Great. Paid $8 on a $2 bet. The $2 exacta was $30.60, 50-cent trifecta, $16.75. 50 in betting, 50 in dining to maybe the Sean Williams around Center Grove. Shout out to Jenny Williams. Actually, Jenny Williams is better than Sean Williams in a lot of ways. Nah, good folks, they really are. Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day. We do it again tomorrow in the 5 o'clock hour. All right, let's shed a little light on this other white meat person right here. Hello, the other white meat. Shall we call you pork or halibut?
No. How you doing, JMV?
Great.
So I go back to the WNDE days, the TOWM from there.
Oh,
so
man, that is a long time ago.
Yes, it has.
You know, there are some. Were you ever in the old school baggery back then with that group?
I still got the Emmis douchebaggery T-shirt.
Oh,
so, yeah.
that is. I do too. I just saw that the other day. Man, do you remember some of those names that no longer are with us?
Internet Hate Machine. Was one of my favorite.
I hope IHM's still with us. Is he still with us? Do you know?
Too.
I hope IHM's still with us. What about Cheesy Nips? Have we heard from him recently? I haven't.
No, I haven't. So I don't even live in Indy anymore. I'm all the way down in North Carolina. So.
Oh, man. Well, we miss you, my brother. I love the fact you're bringing up IHM and Cheesy Dips just made my day. That's well done. What do you got?
Hey, so you're right on Steichen. That's a bold out. He's such an offensive genius. I think if he puts Richardson and Jones in the backfield at the same time, put him in shotgun. Tyler Warren's got QB experience. Put him in the pistol. And now you got the double-barreled shotgun with the pistol in your pocket offense. I think it'll work.
I do wonder if in maybe goal line situations, if they don't run something like that. Now, you also recognize that they have Tyler Warren, and he's probably going to be utilized in some capacity like that too. But it does make you wonder.
He's going to be huge. He's going to be huge. He'll be Jones's, security blanket back there.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get hurt, everybody's getting hurt this year. This is a weird off season. I think, unfortunately, the Halliburton injury has rubbed off on everybody in Indianapolis. It sucks.
The other white meat, a shout out to Nick on the east side. Where's he today? I haven't heard from him in forever.
I have no idea.
Me either. Man, those are the good old days. Remember how many times everybody, this is a true story, everybody from Chris Hagan to Dan Dockage tried to get that shut down because these guys were so mean. And the focus of their mean-spiritedness was at me. I mean, I got the focus of it, yes.
Is Hagan still dropping Hondos up at PT?
And he's still mad about that picture of him eating a piece of steak from Sullivan's Steakhouse.
Oh, dear.
Well done, man. Call again soon. Good to hear from you.
All right, you too, JMV. Take care, man.
That, man. The old school baggery right there. That's classic. I'm telling you, everybody, you've got to shut that down. Can you shut that down? That is a true story. Ramon, 239-1070. How are you?
All right, JMV, thanks for taking my call.
You got
it.
Yeah,
everybody's made their comments, and we can see what this is, but history repeats itself a lot. I read a stat in Pro Football Focus that of the last 10 years, you may have heard this, of the last 10 years, there are 19 franchises that got a under 500 record, and the Colts is one of them. It seems like when you're bad for a long time. NFL does great marketing, but when you talk about 19 franchises with an under 500 record in the last 10 years, something's wrong with the league. And it starts at the general managers and these owners and picking these quarterbacks. Jeff Garcia did a study, and he found out that over 65% of first-round draft pick quarterbacks don't pan out.
Hey,
so
Ramon.
Something going on with them.
I love what you're saying. I got to run here. That's the music. Call back in tomorrow and share this more. I like the stats you're giving right here, man. Ramon, call back in tomorrow. If you're on hold, priority status for you tomorrow. Daniel Jones is the Week 1 starter. I'm at Carroll Stadium with the 11 and more of this dialogue tomorrow at 3. Don't miss it. Thanks for the time.